Welcome to Debate Talk for You. My name is Jennifer Mclean. This is a brand disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this platform by individuals, callers, or invited guests are their own. The information you hear does not reflect the overall views of all parties associated with the brand. We encourage everyone to research all things heard, live or via archive, for edification purposes. Discretion is advised.
Help keep the show on the air. If you want to help, you can send your donation through PayPal. The email is debatetalkforyou@gmail.com or through Cash App, $Sal Showtime. Thanks for your support.
Don't touch that dial. You're now listening to Debate Talk for You Radio.
Let's start off with you, Jennifer. When you hear this topic about child support, what comes to your mind, especially in the Black community? Let's talk about it.
Okay, thank you. The first thing that comes to mind, the topic is the pros and the cons of child support, and I'm pro child support. Before, I did raise my children by myself, and I was against child support because I was like, I'm a grown woman. I took on the responsibility to have these children, and I'm going to take on the responsibility on raising them and financially being supportive of my children. So, back then I was like, no, I'm not going to put nobody on child support. I do not need the government in my business and to tell a man that he needs to take care of a child. But moving forward, when, my situation is a little different, where the father actually had the opportunity to take care of the child and then decide not to, that's when I had a change of heart, like, whoa, you actually have an opportunity to support your children financially and you choose not to. Then I was like, okay, well, now I see why child support was set in place, because for, situations like that where, the other parent is obligated to help care for the child financially if they're not there physically or emotionally. So, I definitely would like to encourage a lot of parents, if you're a single parent, your child needs the support. Today, in today's society, it's expensive. Food is expensive. Clothes is expensive. If you want your child to have, to be involved in different programs, that's expensive for one parent. It takes two to create these children. So I believe it's two people who need to be financially responsible for the children. As far as the cons, I hear stories where they're like, oh, the mom spend the money on herself. And when it comes to that topic, I'm like, well, technically, the mom need to get reimbursed. If the mom's been a parent by herself, supporting a child by herself, and then the court decide to find you eventually and order you to pay child support, I think, what the mother do or the custodial parent do with the money is something that parent usually has to deal with. That's their problem. But I believe in you getting reimbursed. Like, I raised my children by myself this whole time, except for maybe 4 years. The father was around maybe for like 4 years out of their life. My daughters are teenagers. So it's like, well, can I get reimbursed? Because I have to work every day. I have to sacrifice. Normally the parent who's not active in the children's life, they get to say, hey, well, I can't afford to take care of this child right now. Well, you know what? As a parent, as a single mom, I couldn't afford it, but I had to make a way. I always had to keep a job to support my two daughters. I always had to find a way to support my children. I couldn't say, oh, I need a day off, or I need a week off, or I need a month off. I can't afford it. I need to take care of myself. I just always had to find a way to support my children, no matter what. Like, I do here. I have many hustles. I'm a barber. I had to figure out ways to legally make income, bring and generate income so I can support my children. So as far as when the parents say, I can't do it because I have to take care of myself, I think that's very selfish. And what I'm going to leave you guys with is also I want to say, when you have children, I believe, like, your life is not completely over, but when you create children and you actually have children, children come first. And I can't stress that enough, that your children come first. You are raising the next generation. These children need to be supported financially, physically, mentally. They need to feel loved. They need all this support. And a lot of parents, I don't think a lot of people take that very serious. When, you have children, you're like, oh, I'm going to wean it. I'm going to wean it. But I don't think weaning it is good enough for our next generation who's going to run the world, who's going to be our future leaders. So I just want to say that.
All right. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. Like I said, we got more people calling in a few minutes, but we're going to go along with the host that's already here. Let's go to Kirsten. What do you feel about the topic, the pros and cons of child support? Let's talk about it.
Again, Shalom family. My view on child support is it's definitely put in place for a reason. I guess some people tend to take advantage of it. I believe when they want to use it as a weapon, it's not necessarily a good thing, so to speak. Some people tend or can be manipulative with it, and it has, I believe, become more of a thing that has been more for a weapon, less as in actual support, actually, because people want to be vindictive about it. I think they tend to use it in that nature. So I think child support itself has gotten a bad rep. And me, as a single parent now, I started off married. And, my situation, we decided to have kids together. So I believe that it's an equal responsibility in that nature. So, and a lot of people I see throughout the years have used it as a weapon toward the father or toward, that's the only way I've seen it. Some people may have seen it otherwise where, it's very rare that you see that the woman is sought after for child support. But I believe that it should be something that's granted to both parties. Yes. I think the system is a little bit flawed as well when the system tends to give favor more to the mother as well, when sometimes that might not be an optimal environment for the child to be in. They automatically favor the mother. So, it's a double-edged sword in some cases. But child support should definitely be granted both ways, especially if you have a father figure that's, struggling to take care of his child, and he has to do it by himself. It doesn't, I'm in favor of both parties. So I'm not swaying one way because I'm a woman. I believe that a man also should get child support if he is taking care of his children on his own, so to speak. Again, that's my take on it. But there's various situations that play a factor in the deciding of things. But ultimately, I believe if two parties decide to have children, or either if somebody wants to get pregnant, then if somebody doesn't want to play a role in being present, then child support definitely should be granted as a means of helping to assist to raise that child. Yeah.
All right,
let's
go to Vinny. Okay, let's go to Vinny. Go ahead, Vinny.
Yeah, peace to the ladies, you as well, Sal. And, I was, I got mixed feelings about child support. I could see both ways. For one, as the sister Jennifer was mentioning, also as the sister Kirsten was mentioning, Hello?
You're live. You're good.
Okay, cool. I heard a noise, and I don't know. I thought I got disconnected. Anyway, I could see those sides, and then you have the cases where I feel that people are just doing it to do it. Like Sister Kirsten was saying, where if you're dealing with a deadbeat, on one hand, I'm kind of like, you started messing with somebody, and maybe we didn't search them out, whether it be a guy or a girl. So on one hand, I'm like, can't really hold nobody at fault. But then again, people are supposed to take care of their responsibilities, you know. So I mean, I could see if a lady takes a man for child support, and because he's left the household or everything that yeah, I mean, you know, I couldn't disagree with that at all. But then again, you have cases where you have people getting wrong information about what should be happening. Like, say, for instance, I can only speak for myself. You know, I have a, you know, my daughter, my oldest daughter is 17. You know, 17 and a half, she'll be 18 next year in January. But I have a child with, you know, I came into her life when she was 2. You know, her dad wasn't really involved, and her mom was going back and forth about, you know, taking him to child support, and I said, for what? You know, I didn't see the purpose in it. You know, I was there. I was like, you know, I'm here. I'm taking, you know, I'm picking up the load anyway. You know, why even bring him into the picture when you don't want to deal with him anyway? You know, so I mean, there's that situation. Then when me and my ex split up, you know, we both split time with the kids. We have 50-50 custody. You know, I take them, you know, for half of the time, and she's getting people in her ear telling her that she should seek child support and all of this stuff. And I'm like, man, you know, this is crazy, you know. And the funny thing about it is, some of the people that was seeking child support ended up splitting with their wives, and now their wife is seeking child support from them. And it's just weird how the hypocrisy just rolls through. But in a nutshell, I know I spoke a little bit too much because I'm very passionate about this situation because of my certain circumstance. But in a nutshell, you know, I can see both sides of the argument, you know, but I wouldn't say it should be used as a weapon to get even with a parent. You know, if you don't need child support, then I wouldn't even worry about it, even if the other person is a deadbeat. But if you don't really need it, like, say, for instance, you have a support system or whatever, you know, I wouldn't even advise it. But if you don't have a support system and you definitely need it, then I don't see any harm in, you know, seeking what you feel that you need help with, you know, which I think should be the community's job anyway. But if the system is the only place that we could get it, then I guess we have to go with it. But that's my take on it. I know I'm a little bit long-winded. I apologize. But like I said, this is one of those situations where I'm kind of passionate about. But I hope that answers the question. I yield.
All right. Once again, today's show is entitled Pros and Cons of Child Support in the Black Community. The number is 319-527-6239. Zsa Zsa, if you're out there, you got to press Zsa Zsa. Press number 1 right now. You got to press number 1 on your phone if you want to join us. And all the rest of the hosts, press number 1 if you're already there. We have a lot of people on the phone lines checking out the show. Let's go to Reese Roberts. Go ahead, Reese.
My opinion about the child support system is not going to be very common because I'm necessarily looking at the origin of the system itself, the fact that it's rooted in our enemy's organization has a huge problem factor for me. So the way I see it is the child support system is there to provide a solution for our jacked up relationships and the way that we kind of treat each other. And that's within our community. But we're using a system that is not born of us in order to fix our problem. And I think that's what our problem is. We, in my opinion, we got to find out our own ways. We got to find our own ways to do things because the fact that the child support system has been weaponized That was the original intent of it, and that is how it is used in most cases. I do believe there is an exception to all rules, but I do think that the overall rule is that these Caucasians, they love to capitalize off of the dysfunction of our community. If you think about Margaret Sanger and the Planned Parenthood organization, they know that they have groomed our people very well to be ushered into these organizations and into these systems because they know we hate each other. They know we hate our men. They know our men hate us. They know we don't want to be mothers. We want to be in the club. They know we don't want to be fathers. We'd rather be in the club or doing whatever. They know this about us. So what do? They capitalize on every single problem that we have. And when we're victims, when we're falling victim to a flawed system, and I think that sisters who weaponize the system, they should also know that they are victimizing themselves by weaponizing child support. Because in my experience and what I've seen with child support is that a woman using child support as leverage or as a weapon against her man, usually, or against her ex, in most situations, in many situations, is pettiness. That if the two parties were being mature, in most situations, I'm not going to say all, of course, but in most situations, if there was a level of maturity in the relationship, if there was a situation where the two parties were able to reach their own agreement, they would not be feeding into the capitalistic system that's being set up on child support and us feeding in our wealth and our human resources, because whether a black woman wants to recognize it or not, you're feeding black men, whether you like him or not, that's a black man, and you're feeding him into a prison system because of a lack of maturity in a relationship, regardless of how that goes. Two people, whoever is right or wrong, they need to come to an agreement on how they're going to take care of their responsibilities. And when that can't happen between two parties because of a lack of maturity, then what happens? The mediator, who is also the enemy, steps in and starts to mediate the relationship, not just with regular mediation, who says, okay, this is going to be the compromise, this is going to be the agreement. Both parties need to reasonably, conform, or I should say, both parties should reasonably comply is the word I'm looking for. Both parties should reasonably comply with these explicit compromise terms and conditions, and then you go on about living your life healthily. But no, we don't want to do things in that way, mediation and compromise and people owning up to their responsibilities. We would rather call in the big guns and say, oh, you don't want to do this? Well, I'm going to put you on child support. And what happens? That man gets fed into the system very easily. Men get locked up for neglect and lose their driver's licenses and all kinds of things, which to me victimizes the woman. Because if you're looking for a source of income from a man who you have now legally put in jail because he has not been compliant with your compromise or your court order for him to pay child support, he's still no good to you. He's no good to you on or off child support, because if he's not paying, in which most men don't, they go to jail, which he's still no good. He's no good to you either way. But we would rather send him into the system, force him to be enslaved to the system because we don't like him, because he did us wrong, because we have no ability to be mature and compromise, and to say, well, listen, brother, I know our relationship didn't work out, but hey, I got your child. I know all guys are not going to be mature enough to fall into that conversation with maturity, but there are enough brothers out here who are looking and searching and desperately asking for a compromise so as not to be put on child support. But black women a lot of times would prefer to weaponize the system and say, well, F you, I'm going to put you on this child support and you're going to go into the system. So to me, I believe the fact that the system has been weaponized in any way, that to me means we need to put it down and find our own way to deal with our own problems. We do not need to be allowing these people into our homes, because when they come, they still kill and destroy. And we are not really looking at that bigger, broader picture of what's happening to our community based on what's happening in our individual relationships.
and what's happening as these people come and impose themselves and their rules and their regulations on our household and our family structure. We're allowing that to happen way too much. And, you know, to me, it's idealistic, but it's still reasonable that we need to find our own way. And that's it.
All right. Once again, if you're just joining into the show, it's called Pros and Cons of Child Support in the Black Community. The number is 319-527-6239. We have Zsa Zsa here for the first time. Zsa Zsa, how do you feel about this topic, pros and cons of child support in the Black community? Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
Well, what I have to say about it is that, I mean, it's like the sister just said. She said everything that I pretty much agree with her, like 100%, because it's like it's about the kid, you know, and a lot of females, and they make it as if it was about them, their feelings, and so forth, and then the kid, he just becomes the outcast, you know, and then it's like, and this is why we have so many failures and stuff with, you know, within our own children growing up, of course, without their fathers, because the women, I mean, and I'm not trying just to say women, but it's mainly a lot of females, they run the man off. And because it happened to my cousin. Every time his ex found out he got a raise, this man was working like literally, I mean, he was a truck driver, and literally he was working, I mean, double, triple. Seriously, he really rarely went home just to make sure that his kids got, you know, because he was paying almost about $900 a week because of what he made. That's a lot of money. About $900 a week or $900 every 2 weeks, something like that. That's almost $2,000 a month. So every time that he got a raise or every time that he made more money, she went straight to that court, straight to that court, straight to that court. And it got to the point where he didn't even have nothing to do with them girls because they believed everything that the mama said, everything. So, I mean, it's sad. It's really sad, and I believe it's because, you know, the government has given these females a lot of leeway as well. Oh, we're going to do this. You know, they didn't provide housing. They didn't provide Section 8. They didn't provide food stamps. Look, man, we can get you an extra $50, you know, and what do? They just pocket the rest, making them think, oh, we got him. When in reality, the child needs the dad, and that's what they're doing. That's what the government does. Takes the kid away. It takes the dad away from the child. And the females are, oh, well, this and that. You know, they've relied so much on the government. It's pathetic. You know, us as women, we need to also become independent a little bit and also own up to what we did. We both lay down and we had sex. Hey, I had sex with you. All right, there's a baby coming up. All right, well, hey, I better go get me a job. Kind of like in my case, I worked until my 9th month. I was going through labor pains. I told my manager, I said, look, I'm not going to be able to come tomorrow. She said, why? I said, because I'm in labor. And next thing you know, 3 weeks later, hey, I'm back at work. I needed to work. I needed to make sure that my son had. And I've been working ever since. I had to let go of school. I had to let go of a lot of things just to make sure that my son and I had, to make sure that I was able to provide. That's just bottom line. That's just how it is. And then on top of all of that, when I moved here to Fort Worth from El Paso, my son's father literally they had put him in jail because I put child support on him. But, you know, he was a newborn. I'm like, they ain't going to do nothing. I'm already working. I'm already doing everything myself. It don't matter. I was young and, you know, kind of sometimes you really just don't know where you're headed or anything. But, hey, you're like, well, it don't matter. I was getting little checks here and there, and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, you know, whatever. So I would literally just put it up or I would spend it all on my son. It came right when I really needed it, though, for my baby. But to make the long story short, you know, it was one time when I did move to Fort Worth, I had a court date for child support. And I noticed, you know, I was like, oh, my goodness. I said, what am I? Okay. I said, he must be here. Well, yeah, they had him incarcerated. They had him in handcuffs. And so, you know, the lady was like, okay, well, he owes you this much, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? You know, go ahead and make him 20% of, you know, just have him pay 20% of it. Because had I not knocked it down, he would have been sent to jail for a very long time. And his grandparents have been nothing but very good to my son. You know what I'm saying? And I just wanted to let him know, look, I don't have no grudges against you. It ain't nothing like that. You know, but he's the one that started yapping a lot of garbage out of his mouth. And even though he did that, out of the $40,000 that they had him pay, his deal went all the way down to like $5,000-6,000. You know, I mean, to me, the important part was, hey, are you going to build this relationship with your son or not? You know, like if you are, that's fine. But if you're not, you know, later on, that's going to have consequences. And it has. My son doesn't want to have nothing to do with him. My son is 24. And that's a sad thing because my son always looks down. He's like, well, Mom, you know, what happened? And I'm like, I mean, dude, I'm the one that always made sure that on the summers I brought you all the way over here to spend time with your grandparents, and you're going to see your dad anyway. But I was the one that was making all this effort and everything so that he could spend time. And, I mean, there's a lot of us out here like, you know, like that, hey, we will bend, you know, we'll go overboard. We're like, okay, look, let's just settle things between you and I. It'll be better. You know what I'm saying? But there's a lot of men that don't want to do that. They just want to be free. They just want to forget about everything else, and it's like, okay, whatever. And that's not right. They also need to assume some type of responsibility because, you know, also the both of us did have them together. But I'm not just going to push it all off on one person. No, but of course, if you would have told me, hey, I don't have nothing to do with this kid, I'm cool. And I would have just went on. I asked him, and he wouldn't sign the paperwork. So he said, I'm his dad. And I said, okay. Anyway, that's how I feel about it.
All right, once again, it's the Social Hub, pros and cons, the shots more in the black community. The number is 319-527-6239. We're going to go back around. Jennifer, I know you, like I said, you got a short amount of time.
Yeah.
Anything that you want to address?
Yeah, definitely. So I wanted to start with the fact of where it's like females that on child that females, not just female, because we know that there's single dads and we know there's single moms, you know, or even single grandparents, you know. I'm gonna say the custodial parent, whoever's taking care of the child. Okay, I don't really feel that the parents that decide to put the parent or the other parent who's not active in the child life on child support, I don't feel like they're taking advantage of the system. I just don't feel like that, like they're taking it, because if you think about it, if they are the actual parent who's with this child 24/7, like they're in their custody, you know, when your child gets sick, when they're sick, they got to call you, the custodial parent. When the child needs school supplies, the child needs clothes, they call on you. So for the parent who's actually taking care of the child, decide to put the child on the other parent on child support. Like, I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. I think it's called something called reimbursement. Like, I'm speaking from a different perspective because I'm just now, like, my daughters is like 15 and 13, about to be 14, and I'm just now applying for child support because before I was like, no, I don't believe in that. I do not believe in child support. I will struggle by myself. So what? But now it's like, whoa. If the man is strategically not in the child's life on purpose, and they are able to work, whether they choose to or not, they're able to work. They have all their lands. They have their education. They can find any job. If you're able to work, why not help the child? Help the parent taking care of your child? And I feel like there wouldn't be no need for child support if the other parent would be there actively. Like, if the other parent is actively in the child's life, they're sending you money, they're picking up their child maybe every weekend or every other day, or just, you know, involved in the child's life, then fine. That's not right that you're going to the government saying, hey, lying and saying this child is not being cared for and you need to force this parent to do more. I think that's not right. But for the parents who literally are real-life single parents, and you see like me, my daughter's father is literally a step-grandfather. Like, he's taking care of somebody else's children. And this is what I'm forced to see. It's like, whoa, you mean to tell me you're taking care of somebody else's children because you're not in a relationship with me, that you're going to neglect your children and you're going to take care of someone else's children? I think that is just, I cannot grasp that understanding. I would never understand why that's so. How a man could take care of somebody else's children and neglect his own. Like, that's beyond me. That's beyond my understanding. I don't think I could ever understand that reasoning behind that. So I am just pro child support. Like, if you're a decent person taking care of your children and you see the other parent just not being responsible, then yes, I encourage you to go down to court, apply for child support, do what you got to do, especially if you're a working mom. Like, I'm not living off the government. I'm not receiving food stamps or these, different government assistance. Like, I'm working. I'm a hardworking woman, taking care of my 2 daughters by myself. And it's like, where is the other parent? Like, and it's so sad because this is something that's happening in the Black community a lot, where the parent is just absent. Like, why are you absent? This is your child. This is your offspring. This is who you created. This is your future. How can you sit there and not take care of your future and make sure they're okay? Why, and now it's like my hand is forced. Like I said, like, I really do not believe in child support. I did not believe in child support until prior. So now it's like, wow, I have to really go down to the court, which is so uncomfortable because the people at the court, the judge and the officers, I feel so uncomfortable having to go down there asking you, these people I don't know, hey, can you find my daughter's father and force him to pay something? I need help with something. I can't do it on my own. I mean, my income alone is just not good enough. And as a woman that I consider myself a strong Black woman where I have trust issues with other men around my daughters because you know about these stories where the mom, she has a boyfriend, she moves her boyfriend in, and God forbid he starts molesting your children. Like, that's the issue for me. That's a real life issue for me. Like, I do not want that for my daughters. So I'm not going to say I'm going to move this guy in so he can help take care of my kids and he can help with the bills. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to take care of my children like I'm supposed to, and then I'm going to go down to court and see if the father can help take care of his children financially if he's not going to be there physically. But yeah, I just feel like more females should just be more mindful of, like, if there are guys out there. I know they have a guy friend who's like, he's great with his, he's great with his children. Like, he's there for his children. He gives the mom like $400 a month for his son. He only have one son actually, and the mom is still being vindictive and want to put him on child support. I'm like, why would she do that? Like, I wish my daughter's father can give them $5 a week at least. If my daughter was getting like $5 a week, I'll probably shut the hell up because that's something. But that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah. So Jennifer, in your case, what you're saying is, if a father is given something, then
yes,
put them on child support. But if they're not given anything, then put them on child
yes.
support.
Yes, like if the father's actually trying, that's the thing that we're forgetting. A trying dad is everything because he's trying. But a father who just shuts down completely, don't want to do nothing for their child because of, I guess, a breakup or whatever the case may be, go put that man on child support immediately because your child deserves what the child deserves. The child deserves, not that the child deserves it. Your child is entitled. That's an entitlement for your child. Support, financial support. That's an entitlement. Children still need to eat. They still need clothes as they grow. They still need, even, we're not even talking about medical, but medical insurance, the co-pays that we got to pay. Like, I pay a co-pay for my children to go to medical, go to the doctors. Like that, these are real life issues that if the father's not active, put the man on child support. If he's active, I think you need to give him a break. Let him be active in the way that he could, because at least he's trying. And that's all I gotta say.
Yeah, now I know you got to go soon, Jennifer. On another quick question, I know you got to leave soon. How does the father react to it though? Vindictive, do you think about how does he about that, or like how?
Actually, he's dodging child support. I have not been able to serve him yet. He's literally and he has his family backing him up. His family's backing him up on dodging child support, which is crazy to me. It's like, because we broke up, you know, and I know families loyal to their family, you know, the loyalty, but it's just the fact that where's the morals? Like you said, it takes the community to raise children. You got your mom and your sisters backing you up, helping you dodge child support because they feel like, oh, let her do it on her own. Unfortunately, my daughter's father has been incarcerated for 12 years, and you know, you know, when you're in New York, your father's incarcerated for 12 years, he don't have to pay child support. But the fact that you came home, yeah, we were together for 3 years after that, then we broke up after the third year, you know, I'm like, well, okay, when we were together, you're supporting your child, but now that we broke up, you broke up with your children too. Like, why? How did that work? And then you have your family supporting you. Like, oh, leave her alone. She's toxic. Let her take care of her children, and you do you. And it's like, I don't agree with that. I think especially I think the grandparents, I don't know if it's because they're young or from their upbringing, it's like when you're a grandma, I expect more from you. I expect you to get down your son's ass. Like, no, go over there, take care of your kids. You don't need to be in a relationship with her, but take care of your kids. Make sure they're good first. And you know that's the issue for me. I'm like, you know, not to put my business all out there, but that's a major issue. Where's the community support when it comes to not saying force him to pay child support, but at least speak some sense in his head. Even like a scenario, like, hey, you know, you have not been in your children's life for X amount of years, and just because you and the mom has a dispute, like, it's okay to send the children maybe an address, send them a money order. I mean, what's wrong with, you know, getting an envelope and a stamp and putting money on there and say, here, this is for my kids. And then you have proof of that money order because you have the stub. This is proof. Hey, I've been paying her something every month for my children. Instead of I'm not paying nothing because we're not together. That's it. Like, if you broke it with me, I broke it with the children, and I'm just going to go my separate ways. And because this woman took me in her house, because she took me in her house and she has kids, I'm going to take care of her kids because she's taking care of me. And I think that's the issue with the black community, too, because it's like, me is like, okay, well, females nowadays, they just take in a lot of men, like, I guess because they're lonely or whatever, they'll just take in a man into their home, and they have daughters and they have sons at a young age. And that's scary to me, to have a man come into my home with my daughters, and I won't be able to sleep at night because I'll be always thinking, well, I don't know this man MO. Like, did he like me or did he like my kids? And I don't want to have to ever question. I don't want to have to ever think about that. So my thing is, I don't even want to live with a man right now. I can't wait till my kids get a little older, you know, and then we can talk about, you know, blending in, just not when my daughter's around. You know, that's another topic, I guess.
Yeah. All right, family, once again, today's show is entitled Pros and Cons of Child Support in the Black Community. Numbers 319-527-6239. Now, those that are pro-child support tend to say, well, child support has been created for the best interest of the child. Is that true in 2019? Is it for the best interest of the child? Go ahead, Kirsten, you can talk about it.
It's supposed to be for the best interest of the child indeed, but and that's what we're mainly supposed to be focused on. But nowadays, I don't really believe that that's the main focus anymore, to be honest with you. It should be. In my case, I can't speak on everybody else's experience, but in my case alone, with my child, I did not put him on child support. Actually, the military did. They, as a means of the divorce, they automatically made sure that there was no reason for him to actually require any kind of reasoning to have any issues in the long run. So they make you take care of your responsibility, so to speak. So as far as it has been weaponized, but like the sister was talking about earlier, it's something that was made up that outside of a system that's not set up for us. It's a pacifier. It has become a pacifier to basically shut us up, to keep us separated, but to shut us up. This was never in biblical past, like a part of our culture. It was never something that it was supposed to be, where they were separate. a separation of family. I mean, there's just too many people, because I can't even say brothers because the sisters do it too, where there's certain situations where they're both actually not being responsible for their responsibility. So I mean, it's not for the child, so to speak, anymore. Sorry, I'm still a parent. So, but it's not for the child anymore. It's not the way it's being done today. It's not for the child. It's more so for the parent because the way it's being utilized. But there's parents out there that need it? Absolutely. Do I need it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Because the way things are being right now, like I am transparent, but there's child care out there that costs $1,100 a month. $1,100 a month. That's rent. That's rent in some places. Some places that's not even rent. Rent is more expensive. So I mean, if they're charging $1,100 alone for child care, and that's just a month. I mean, a single parent, they're setting it up where a single parent can't make it. And then if you make too much money, you don't even qualify for assistance or benefits or anything of that nature. Because I know I was like, as a single parent, I was like, I'm paying all my bills, but I'm barely making it. And it's like there's a lot of us out there that are barely making it. And it's like $1,100 a month, plus you got your rent, plus you got your food, plus you got your kids' clothes, diapers, and shoes. My daughter is getting ready to be 3. So it's like I'm still buying diapers, and I'm potty training and all that. So it's hard out here. So whether or not he chooses to be present or not, I can't think about that. I have to think about this child and what needs to be done for her and what I need to do to provide for her. But I would love to see one thing, like a poll or something done where it's how many women or men out there would prefer the spouse or the other half to be present and taking care of the child and devoting what it means to be a parent rather than over child support, really. I would really love to know how many people would actually love to have the parent present over child support, because I would love, honestly, to have her have a solid foundation and communication and upbringing with her father present rather than to have child support any day. And that's just me. I'm only speaking for self, because that is the more valuable thing where my daughter needs over money. So that's just my opinion. But appreciate the time, definitely, to actually get that out.
All right, let's go to Vinny. Yeah, Vinny. Yeah, Vinny, are you there, Vinny?
Yeah, my bad, Sal. I was muted. What was the question again?
Well, a lot of people that are pro child support say that, the system has been designed and built because it's for the best interest of the child. In your opinion, is that true?
Oh, yeah. Okay. I really got mixed feelings about it. I think that it is. Everybody is thinking for the best for the child. I don't really think that people are just out there just belligerently just trying to they don't have other motives. I mean, I'm thinking in terms of the system. I think that it probably started out that way, but then people start taking advantage of it just like anything else, and then also as time develops, then the rules start changing as well. But I don't know, man. I just think that people don't feel like they have anywhere else to go, Personally, I just think that everything has been broken down, to where we lean a little bit too much on these systems. I know it's taking it a little bit away from the question, but I think that, we really got to just let go of all the aids of the system. I know it's hard, and I know that it's not a very easy thing to do because of the convenience, you know. So I think that a lot of people like support it because it's convenient. You know, they don't really have to go out and deal with it. Not just so much even the parents, but also the people who are supposed to be the supporting systems for the people who are going through these issues with the children. You know, like just think if, like, the parents or the family members had to, you know, pitch in and help out with the child. Say, for instance, if a father left, you know, it's a whole lot easier to just go to that system, you know, instead of just allowing your you know, instead of the people that's surrounding the people involved in the child support situation to go to the system that it is to, you know, go out and help the child, because it takes away from our life. Also, you know, the you know, the supporting cast, it affects the supporting cast, and then it also affects the community, you know, especially in terms of the father. You know, if you got a lot of people enabling you, man, you're not going to change your ways. So I think that we have to look at ourselves and then, like, check ourselves in order to change the system. You know, like, say, for instance, if you know somebody that's doing that, don't enable them. You know, but I do mainly think that people support the system not only because, you know, they feel like they don't have anywhere else to go, because our community is so broken down that we don't help each other out, but also the convenience factor, that they don't have to go out and ask for anybody for help. They can just go fill out some papers, you know, and they can get help that way. So I do think that, like, most of the people, or a lot of the people, say, who do support the child support system, they it's very convenient, and it's easier than dealing with other people, you know, because for one, you might not even have family that'll help you, and two, you don't want to ask anybody for help, you know, so you just go fill out that paperwork and be done with it, you know. But I just I don't know, man. I think it's kind of crazy, you know. But yeah, that's I hope I answered your question, Sal. I know I went a little bit of ways around it, but hope I answered that for you.
All right, Reese Roberts. Got Reese.
I'm thinking that the system, I mean, it's stipulated to affect the child, but there's no way to actually measure if that's actually happening or not. I mean, people can observe, and that at best can give you some idea of whether or not the system is actually benefiting the children or not. I mean, but that seriously just boils down to the quality of the woman who is managing the money. If that person is not managing the money in a way that benefits the child, then it's not benefiting the child. But if she is, then it is. So I think that, again, like my brother just said, we have to really look at ourselves and see what are we doing in our relationships that's even causing us to need the third party involved. We are adults. We should be able to manage our own affairs. We should be able to accept reality. We should be able to make decisions, and we should be able to make adjustments based on what we need to be self-sufficient and be self-reliant. Because when we allow these people to come into our communities, into our households, into our family structures, like I said before, they still kill and destroy. And if there is a pro to the system, it is that a woman could get temporary, or I mean, maybe not even temporary, but she could get consistent financial assistance out of child support. That would be one pro. But the rest of it, in my opinion, when you take a step back, is all cons for the Black community. Because if a woman does not get that client, and I mean, she's already signed the paperwork to justify that man being handed over into the legal system. And once that happens, everybody knows he's absolutely no good to anybody, not even himself. And once he's no good to himself, he's no good to the child, to the woman, to nothing. So, where's the benefit really? If you get the positive result, in which most cases you won't, then what else comes out of that? Just the possibility that assistance might come out of it? Or is it going to be the greater result, which we've seen demonstrated in our culture? The greater result is where that man becomes a slave to the system. One more black man becomes a slave to the system. And we're feeding into our enemy's plot against us. And to me, that's just enough for me to say, whatever happens to me and my husband and my child, it's going to be between us. And I know that, I have to say this. Generationally, we've dealt with men who have been in a state of deterioration. And this has been going on for generations. Men have, all of us, we've been conditioning, we have been conditioning ourselves into self-destruction. And for us to have high expectations of another person, to say that I know how I met you, and I'm gonna just honestly be real about myself. All of the sexual relationships I've had, which could have ended in me getting pregnant, they were not viable relationships. And I knew that. If I was to get pregnant, I would not have overly enthusiastic expectations of some dude that I barely had a relationship with. And I'm not going to say that that all women get into these whimsical relationships that are haphazardly having sex. I know that's not a characteristic of a black woman, but I do know that that's the culture we live in. I do know that's how our lifestyles go. I do know that's how we are evolving socially, is that sex is way more casual now. And, people do what they want about protection and birth control. So to me, we have to be very realistic about our reality that we're living in. There's a good chance that if you get pregnant, you might not have a dad for that child. But what is your plan to make sure that you and what you would like to do with your child is actually going to manifest? To me, if I had my way, I would just be like, sister, pretend like that man dead. Pretend like he is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Pretend like he's dead. What would you do if he died? Yes, because you would at that point get over it. You would accept it. You would move on. And that's what you need to do. Because there is not a greater benefit. There's not a greater good that comes out of him being on the system. There's not a greater good. If he's on the system, it's less likely that he's going to pull up to your front door and want to have a relationship with your child, with his own child. It's less likely because he's going to feel like he's paying the bill. He don't need to come up. He don't need to come over there and say, hey, and see how the child looks and see what's the child's favorite color or what size the child even wears or when is the child's birthday. My own brother doesn't know the birthday of his 3 children. And I'm trying to tell you, pretend like you're dead. Pretend like he is dead. Because he is really, this is the culture that we live in. We want to get our justice. And I'm going to tell you, this is something very personal. We want to get our justice. I saw my sister waste 15 years of her life trying to get justice. Focused on a problem that she could never get on top of because she can't control what my brother does. She cannot control what he does. She put so much energy into trying to get this justice, trying to force him, trying to guilt trip him, trying to argue him down, trying to expose him. Oh my God. Pretend like he is dead. That's a waste of energy. It's a waste of life. It's just a waste all the way around. If I could just give everybody my heart, pretend like that man is dead, and you will receive all of what you need to receive in your heart for you to move on. Because anything else other than you moving on is a waste. And I hate to see it. I just hate to see it. And that's just my opinion. Of course, I'm speaking very matter-of-factly, but like I said, I'm giving you my heart on this situation. I've seen it. I've seen this vindictive or this, the Bible say revenge
belongs to God. You know, the universe takes care of situations like that. What if you didn't focus so much energy on getting your justice and your vindication for you getting what's right in the moment? Let's just say you say, you know what, that man is dead. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to focus on my child. I'm going to focus on building my income, building up my intellect. I'm going to study a trade that I know I can start earning high dollars with. That man is no thought in my mind. I'm going to worry about my pocket because I know now I got 2 jobs to do. So I'm going to worry about me. And immediately I'm switching gears over here. I'm not going to worry about what he do. If he shows up, he shows up. If he doesn't, he doesn't. And I'm going to have to accept that because, like I said, culturally, that's where we are. That's where we are. And if we don't start to recognize being focused on ourselves, if that man is not an option, being focused on yourself is your greatest investment that you can ever make. But spending all the time on getting back at him is not a good personal investment. But a personal investment into self is, it looks like I'm going to educate myself, which a lot of women do, and I have to give Black women credit because a lot of times that's our first move. A lot of times that is our first move. Is if that man ain't going somewhere, we start putting something on our mind because we already know what it's going to be. I'm going to have to earn more money, and I'm going to have to use my brain to do it. And we do that. More and more, we're doing it, and we continue to do it. So I have to tip off my hat to my sisters because we are hard workers. But, again, these type of things have to be in our minds as a reality of where we are socially, economically, and politically. These are the realities that we face every single day, and we know it. Do we want to deal with it like my brother said? No, we don't. So we're going to sign the papers. We say, come on, lawman, come on in my house. But that's where we go wrong, is when we invite them people in our houses. And every time we go fill out those applications, every time we go and get that justice, so-called justice, what I'm going to call pseudo-justice, then we mess around and we feed into the plot against our community. That's it.
All right. Once again, the number is 319-527-6239. Pros and cons of child support in the Black community. If you want to chime in, people, you on the phone lines, just press number 1. And we can add you in the conversation. But let's go to Zsa Zsa. Zsa Zsa, what do you feel about that? Everything that you heard. Think about it.
I mean, the sister, again, is on point because it's true. What if you have 6, 7 kids and your husband passes on anyway, whether you married or not, and he's a bread giver, the breadwinner? What are you going to do then? You got to get out there and get it. It's true. She has. I mean, my goodness, that 100%. I was thinking about that. I'm like, golly, I said, I'm glad I stopped at 1. I saw how hard it was, and I said, I'm not going to let nobody come by and get me pregnant like it ain't nothing. That ain't going to happen.
I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you.
That ain't going to happen. I'm not going to sit up here and have 1 and 2, and then, you just, 2 and 3, and then here comes 4, and then here comes, wait a minute. It's a limit. It's straight up, it's a limit. With the first one, I learned my lesson, and I was like, nah, I got to do this by myself. I had to let myself go completely because he needed more. I mean, he was going to get it before I did. I always put him first. I don't care. He represents me. And, I don't care. But I wanted to ask, I don't know if this is in every state, but I know that now if a female has a kid and let's say she gives the last name of somebody else knowing that child does not belong to him, in the state of Texas, they make him pay that child support, and they don't care whether it's his or not. You still have to pay for that. I don't think that's right. I think that they need to pay. I think that they need to make them females pay them dudes back. That ain't your kid, man. I mean, why are you going to make this man pay child support? Why? I don't get it. If it's not yours, why are you making this man pay for it? Why? So, and I hate to say it, but they just rather stay married. Cheaper to keep them. And that's not right. That is not right. And then on top of that, another thing that that we do have some issues with. Pardon me, I'm sorry. I know quite a few single dads, and let me tell you, they do. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but they do a very, very well job with their kids. I'm serious. I have another one that just lost his court. His court, he lost his son, and he had a place to stay, stable job. The little boy had, he was perfectly fine and happy. And the judge, she's a black judge now, she honored his son to the mom when she was homeless, and she straight up told the judge she was not trying to look for no work. Then how you supposed to live, sister? How you going to honor that child to her? And he's the one that's been calling CPS, letting you know, hey, my child's been getting beat by her man, but you still grant her the child. That ain't right.
Wow,
it's a lot of stuff going on. Even in Texas, they're extremely hard on men. I'm telling you. Seriously, they're very hard on men. And they take their license. I don't know about if they do it over there, wherever, y'all live. I live in Texas, and let me tell you, they take their license, they take everything, and they put them in jail.
Yeah.
5 Gs to get them out. And mind you, some of these kids may not even be theirs, but they got to sit there and be like, well, she gave him my last name, or she was married to him. But she went on fooling around with somebody else or whatever it is. Now he still got to pay for it because the baby got his last name. Somebody got to care for that kid because the government ain't trying to pay for him. That's what I smell. But I just don't think that that's right. I don't think that somebody else should be responsible for somebody else's child unless they voluntarily say, hey, I want to adopt this baby. This is mine. That's a difference. But when dudes don't even know, come on now. This is getting literally out of hand. So I'm down with the sister on what she said. Because what happens if that dude dies, then how are you supposed to sustain yourself? How are you supposed to take care of your kids? You're going to have to get out there and work. You got to do something.
All right.
Hey.
I want to. Yeah, go ahead, Vinny.
No, I was going to say, is it all right if I pose a question?
Yeah, go ahead, man. That's how we usually do anyway. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I did have a question. And it's more so directed at Sister Jennifer. She probably gone already, but I know she's having a tough time. Oh, okay, cool. Well, maybe she could answer it in the back chat or something. But I just wanted to pose a question. What if, the community, and when I say the community, I just think your inner circle, like the people who are around you. What if the community helps out with raising the child? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe they need school clothes or whatever. If people just donate it to the women who are in need of these things because somebody had left them, or even a man. If a man, because I have a cousin who, his wife just totally just left him, and he taking care of her kids. They wasn't even his kids, but he took care of them, got them going to college and everything, right? But what if these people that needed that support system, if the inner circle helped out, would we need, or would we still feel the need to go after the deadbeats? I'm gonna call them deadbeats because if they're not doing anything, then that's exactly what they are. What if the deadbeats? Will we still go after these people who are not, trying to take care of the responsibility for whatever reason? Will we still be doing that? And is the onus really on the community, or do we put the sole responsibility on those, the people that left? I know the easy thing is to say, blame them, but if we had a community structure, will we still worry about going and seeking child support from the people that left? And if so, is that onus on all of us instead of just on that father as well, or the mother, whoever left?
Kirsten, you want to jump on that one?
I'm sorry, I might have to pass on that one. I'm actually listening. I didn't catch it.
Okay, not a problem. I think Sheek here. Hold on. Hold on. Let me see. 929. Who am I speaking to? 929.
Are you on?
Yeah, hello?
Yeah, what's going on?
How you doing? I wanted to hit the topic on where you was talking about the pros and cons. Now, I understand that a man is supposed to be a man to take care of his children if he brings a child or whatever the case may be. What bothers me is that a lot of people don't touch on the topic of what if there's a man that just so happens to be taken out of his children's lives. And during the time that he's taken out of his children's lives, where he was being there and taking care of his children, but just for whatever reason happened, he was taken out of their lives. Never was put on child support. His children goes into foster care. Now, as he's away, for the length of time that he's away from his children, he's not able to pay this child support because now the children are a ward of the system. But when he comes back out, changes his life around, he's doing what he got to do to find out that, he has over $90,000 in back child support. Whereas he never was put on child support by any of the children's mothers. There were no documents that were ever served to him, but it just so happens that his children went into foster care because of whatever situation it was at the time. I mean, I'm just going to give a synopsis of what really happened, a little bit of it. I mean, I don't mean to put everything out there, but it needs to be heard. Jennifer had made a statement about there's a lot of dudes that be out there in the world that where you have to worry about your children. And bringing a man, I went away, did a lot of time. My kid's mother brought another man in. He moved his son in. And then his son did some really wicked things to my daughters, all three of them. They were young at the time. They were babies. And I couldn't do anything about the situation. I wasn't there. I wasn't the custodial parent. And my children were taken away from their mother. They were going to be separated in foster care, but their mother's mother happened to step up and said, you're not doing that. As someone else has said, and as Jennifer has said, it does take a village to raise a child. So everybody's supposed to have a hand in the pot to raise a child. But being that I wasn't there, which to this day I regret, and it pains me that I wasn't there because I wasn't able to protect my children the way that I needed to protect my children. So based upon that, I come home years later. And after coming home these years later, I start working, get a good job, work for the National Grid, doing the things that I have to do. I get hit with $90,000 in back child support. So when I listen to people say that, there are men out there that, they do for their children, but the mothers will go ahead and play this game. And then there's mothers that have these men that don't do for their children, and they are forced to go ahead and put child support on their children's father. At the time, I was just taken away from my children because of some things that happened in my life and that the people that I was interacting with. So now here it is. I'm 50 years old. I'm going to be paying this $90,000 back child support, which my children are grown now. My youngest is 18 and my oldest is 26. I'll never be able to get that off. My money is so scarce to this day. I have to be strong within myself because this is what the government does. They bait is the same thing as slavery. You understand what I'm saying? When you take the head of the household and you poison his mind and you destroy that very fabric of family, the woman is forced to do things that she is not supposed to do because she is not the physicality of what a man is. So now this is what happens. It becomes a whole full circle, 360. You know what I'm saying? And everything starts from knowledge. It ends with knowledge. So if we don't have the knowledge and understanding where we can born something into the factor or make it into what it needs to be, we're going to continue going through this cycle. because you're going to have men that are not educated in being fathers because their fathers weren't there. You're going to have women that's going to be bitter because there was no man there to show them what a real man is supposed to be in their lives. So they'll pick and choose all the wrong men at the wrong time when they need them for the wrong moments. You know, and I tried to chime in earlier. I couldn't get in. I'm thankful for someone putting me on and letting me speak, but it's an ongoing struggle. And when it comes down to the black community, we get it the worst because we were beaten and striped and we were just maimed. Out of all the races that are on the planet Earth, we've had it the worst. So we are going through this warfare, and mentally, no matter how much we try to break the cycle, we're going to have those that are so dissatisfied that's going to continue to keep that cycle going. And society is not going to look at those that are doing the right thing. They're going to continue to look at those that are doing the negative thing, those that are being deadbeat fathers, those that are making all these babies and not taking care of these babies and treating women differently than what they're supposed to be treated. And then when they hit with child support, they're not even trying to pay the child support. They're going to duck and run. But the ones that are doing the proper thing and they're doing the righteous thing, they're never going to be looked upon as, yeah, this brother is doing good. This is the community that, because in the eyes of society, we all do the negative thing as the culture that we are. You know, and I do appreciate that y'all having this talk because this is something that needs to be talked about. It's not only the factor of that, you know, the government is doing it in there and they're implicating it. You know, what happens is that we got to start educating our black men because the only way we're going to raise leaders and the only way that we're only going to be able to come together as a community is the men step up right with the women, not the women stepping up and overshadowing the men, but it has to be an equal plane. Right. But like I said, what happens to the man that does it all the time and he never had been put on child support and the government just goes ahead and throw that on him? When they know that he's never going to be able to pay that back. And they clearly know I'm going to have to fight for the rest of my life to try to get this up off of me.
Yeah. Man, Cola, I definitely appreciate you calling in. But one more thing I want to ask you, though. You know, some women would say, you know what, just get a lawyer then. You know, or, you know, they'll say something like that. Like, do you feel, have you taken certain steps and how, you know, have you taken certain steps to try to get this thing off of you? And how did the court system treat you, you know, trying to do that? Okay. So
yes, I have. The steps that I took, right, it would hinder me at this point right now because I was away for so long. So what they would have to do is they would have to reopen up the case. I would have to file, you know, which is not a problem, right? And I'm working on that as we speak now. But the thing is that I have to continue to work to pay off this child support. So in order to get a case reopened, you have to go to every court that they give to you. So I put in for a hardship. When I put in for the hardship, they take a certain amount out of my money. Even though it's a big amount that I owe in back child support, they take a greater amount out of my check. So to make a long story short, what happens is that I don't go to work and do my 40 hours, which, like I said, I work at a good job, I make good money. But if I don't go to work and do my 40 hours, I can't keep taking my sick days and using my sick days because once all my sick days is used up, now I only got a certain amount of personal days. Once those personal days is used up, you're just on regular days off. You're not getting paid for those days off. You understand what I'm saying? So being that I had to reopen the case, and this is what they said to me when I sat down with a lawyer from the Bar Association. What is it? I can't think of it right now off the top of my head, but I sat down with a lawyer from the lawyers thing that they got now for incarcerated men coming out of incarceration and stuff like that. This is what they told me. They said that I would have to stop working to fight the case for them to bring it down for me to go back to work to start paying. But during the time of me not working, they're still going to accumulate more money on that which I already owe because I'm not working and they're not getting anything. Once you start missing a payment, it starts going back up again. As soon as you, like if, say, for instance, right now I quit my job and they give you a window period of 30 days or maybe to 90 days to find and seek employment again. anytime you go past that certain amount of days or whatever it is, I think it was 120 to be exact. 120, you go past that 120 days of not working and it goes beyond that, they start to tack on all this money again. The interest starts compiling on you again. So now where you got it down, say I'm at $82,868 in back child support from $90,000. All right? So now, let's just say I lose my job in 120 days or I quit my job or whatever the case may be. They're giving me 120 days from the day that I stop working to find employment to go ahead and start making the payments over. So that 120 days is free time. But if I don't have that free time or that money to pay them, they're going to start tacking it back on. So this is what the lawyer said. What I suggest to you is you put in for a hardship. Put it for the hardship. You let them take out whatever you take out. As that time is going on, you start going ahead and getting your paperwork together. But that costs money as well because you got to send to Albany to get this. Only thing you can get free now, I believe, is your rap sheet. But if you need any other things that go according to what you need for this child support thing, you have to pay for it. Everything now in the economy, because of what we have done as a people and how people that were paying taxes had not felt sorry for those individuals that were falsely accused, or maybe they just did one crime one time, all that free stuff is out the window. Remember, I don't know how old you are, brother, but back in the days when I was growing up, when you took your GED and you was incarcerated and you need to file for your GED, that was free of charge. You understand what I'm saying? If you live in another state and you need to get your birth certificate, that was free of charge. Now, none of that is free of charge. They want every dime, every penny. So what happens to the man that's busting his behind? They still taking money away from him, and they want more money from him just to try to fight to get money off of him.
Nice.
So that's the difficulty.
Yeah. It's strong. Anybody want to chime in on that?
And it's not nothing that I'm trying to say to anybody to feel guilty or sorry for me. It's just this is the reality of life.
Right.
Let me ask you a question. I'm assuming you're possibly in New York, but have you possibly tried to maybe move somewhere else and switch it over? Because I know every state has its own jurisdictions.
Okay. The case originally started in Virginia. I'm now back from Virginia after I did the time that I did. I'm back in New York. Virginia found me in New York. New York tracked me down through my social. It doesn't matter. So if it's all connected now. Before, it used to be different. Everybody had their own separate entity. But because the crime rate was high, people were murdering people, people were robbing people were doing bank robberies, they were fleeing to other states. This is how they track them now. They track them through DMV and they track them through their social. Well, your social, you always have been tracked through, but they track you through DMV. Where at one time you could be down in Charlotte, North Carolina, and they didn't have no idea of what was going on in New York State. Now you go down to Charlotte, South Carolina, and you have a problem with DMV here in New York State, or if you have any type of judicial type of situation, it automatically comes up. It's no longer a separate entity. So if you're saying move to another state, I got incarcerated. I came home from incarceration. I didn't want to go back to Virginia because Virginia at the time, you know what I'm saying, when I was where I was at, they didn't want me back there anyway. So to alleviate me going back to some place where I know that it would bring me more harm and more detrimental situations, I came back to New York where I'm originally from. So now that I'm in New York, I'm working. I first come home. I only been home 4 years out of 26 years. It's going on 5 years. That's still not entirely enough time for me to even knock down a percentage of that back child support.
Yeah.
What if well, I don't know because like here, I know like even my mom, what she did is because she didn't want my little sister's dad to continue to pay child support, so she even went and paid for a lawyer, and she went to court and told him, hey, I don't want his money, give it back to him.
It's not even going to the mother. Again, like I stated in the beginning, I never was put on child support by the mother. My daughters were sodomized, raped, and there's a lot of things that they went through as kids. I don't want to go into all of it, but the story needs to be. It needs to be told so people can understand how the government and how the state does I don't just want to say black. I want to say anybody, any man, any human being, when they want their money, all over. It's not just New York. It's not just Ohio, Virginia. It's everywhere. When they want their money, they go through whatever they go through. I never was put on child support by a woman for being a deadbeat dad. A little bit of what I want to tell y'all is that it's my past, and that's not the man that I am. I just was caught up in the lifestyle because of my dad not being in my life. So I vowed to be in my children's life by any means necessary, but I was taken away. I had a lot of money. I sold a lot of drugs. I did a lot of things where my kids were taken care of. They was never nothing. Time-wise, they were taken care of. Money-wise, they were taken care of. At the young age, I wasn't not there in their lives at the precious moment as Jennifer's children are 15 and 13. I wasn't there. I wasn't there from like 10 going through public school, pre-K and all that. I wasn't there for that up until where they at right now. All my children, even though I wasn't there, I was an influence from where I was at. But I just didn't have the capital anymore to go ahead and do things for them the way that they needed me to do. My thing is, all my children are college kids. My youngest child is 18. My oldest is 26. And then I got 4 more in between, 22, 21, 19, 20. At the end of the day, all of them were taken care of. I have 3 children's mothers. I have 6 kids. Never was put on child support. I speak to every last one of my children's mothers except for the one that's in Virginia because of the simple fact that she's bitter with me about me leaving her with my children. But when she met whoever she met was supposed to be her fiancé and she married in the state of Virginia, the dude and his son did some things to my children. My children were taken away from her. My children were going to be put in foster care. Well, they were put in foster care, but they were going to be separated. Their grandmother stepped up and took them because they did not want my daughters to be separated. So being that, the state of Virginia was taking care of my children, while I was incarcerated, I got all of this information. When I got all of this information and they gave me everything, I lost my mind in there because at the simple time that I really thought that I was going to come home at an earlier time, I got this information. And when you get information being incarcerated and away from your children and you already feel the guilt of not being a father, not being the father that you thought that you were going to be because you were snatched out of their lives at such an early stage. And trust and believe, every day I thought about this because these are men that are coming in and out of these systems. That's taking these babies and doing these things to these babies. And sure enough, man, I used to be like, yo, man, I wish the motherfucker would ever do something. Excuse the expression on the air. But I wish a person would ever do something.
Keep it clean, though.
I apologize. Yes, I apologize. I wish an individual would ever do something like that to my children. And then that's what happened. So now being that happened, they went into the system. When they went into the system, state of Virginia started putting child support. They taking care of them. They taking care of them. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that they were going to make me pay all of this back child support, make me pay for this and this, that, and the third because they were taking care of them. Because at that time I was young and I didn't know anything about it. And I lost my mind when I found out what happened. So I didn't come home in the time that I was supposed to come home. I wound up extending my stay, so to speak. And today I'm paying for it. So every bad decision that every human being makes, they're going to pay for it, not to get off the subject. But child support,
that's real.
Again, I agree that child support is geared for the help of whatever custodial parent it is, whether it be the male, whether it be the female. I believe that's what it should be. Does the system abuse it? Yes, they do. Does the custodial parents, whether it be the female or the male, abuse it at times? Yes, they do. But then you have that small margin of the sincerity of a person that's really, really struggling, and they need that help. So you can't, again, it's like it's a double-edged sword. You know what I'm saying? It's a thin line. Because you got people that really, you got mothers or fathers, like let's just say, for instance, a father is raising his son and his daughter, and the mother had a bad accident, and she was just, she went back to the essence due to the accident. You know what I'm saying? Where does he get the child support from? Where does he get the help that he needs from? You understand what I'm saying? So now he has to find different types of programs, or he has to work 2 or 3 jobs. So I understand when the women say, yeah, well, his father, he should have been there, he put these kids together, and he did this. But what about that father that's raising these children, you know what I'm saying, and he only got 1 job, and it's a strain. He's living in a 1-bedroom apartment. You know what I'm saying? And he got a son and a daughter. He has to give his daughter the bedroom because by law, a girl is supposed to have an enclosure so that way she doesn't be exposed to any other males that's in the household.
Right.
So, I mean, like, again, child support is geared for those people that need it. Public assistance was geared for those people that needed it. Is it being abused? Yeah, this is what we are bred to become, abusers of the system. Not everybody, but this is what they breed us to become. Because the greed and all the things that these people do, that's the masters, it spills over to us, whether we believe it or not.
Yeah, it does.
Whether we want to see it or not, through social media, through television, which it tells lies about the vision. The news got people scared. I work for the National Grid. I got to go to people's houses. People scrutinize me to say that I'm some criminal that's going to break. I'm a black man. I got on this uniform. I'm ready to do a B&E, break into their home. So this is what happens. They put us against each other. So now the mother wants to get the father because the father is angry that, you know, he ain't got the best job in the world. And now he brought a life into this world. And now he know that his pockets is even going to be thinner. So 2 things going to happen. Either he going to run or he going to go to the streets. And neither one of them is good because he's still taking himself away from them.
Right.
So now the mother feels like, yo, now I got to put him on child support.
Yeah.
But the communication in the beginning was so, it's real because the communication in the beginning was so messed up that y'all didn't even sit down and really plan for this baby. Y'all just was so in love and y'all was so caught up in the fact of like, yeah, he's going to be here, she's going to be here, oh, she's my ride or die, oh, that's my dude. And then when the baby comes and y'all stressed out and y'all really not having it with the way y'all want to have it, now you're forced to push each other away or either you're going to stay and struggle together. 9 times out of 10, it's always forced to push each other away.
Right. Well, man, unfortunately, brother, I got some other callers standing by, but I appreciate you calling in and, you know, letting the world know your story. But I got to let the panel chime in. I know some people got to go. Reese Roberts, you want to chime in?
I don't really have much to say. I just know that there are some solutions that the brother might want to take. I'm sorry, I didn't catch his name, but there are some legal things that you can do to protect, well, really enforce your constitutional right not to contract with the federal government. There are some people that are really, really deep educators on constitutional law, contract law, maritime law, admiralty law, legalese, and some other things that have to do with the federal government. I'm always an advocate for nationalization, but this group of people, they're sort of like almost like what you would call a freedom warrior, where they help people that have legal issues that they're trying to combat with, and they'll educate you on how to use the law to get to enforce your constitutional right not to have those types of things enforced on you. So I don't know how you can get my information, but I'm pretty sure you can reach out to me some kind of way, and I can point you in the right direction to link up with some of those people. I actually invited one of them, the main lady that teaches this constitutional law. She does a lot of lives on Facebook, and I'll kind of share that on my page so y'all can see it. But she shares a lot of information about how to enforce your constitutional right. I invited her to come and talk to us a little bit today about what child support fraud is, because the U.S. government is guilty of frauding people, and I mean that we get frauded out of our freedoms and our liberties every day. Really, I should say we get frauded out of our rights every day, And we don't understand that a right is not something that somebody gives to you. A right is something that you enforce. And so you have to know that you can't, somebody can't just come up to you and slap you with a $90,000 bill when you wasn't nowhere. There was never, any voluntary action on your part or anybody else's that you know. That don't even sound right. So, you're going to have to put in some effort. You might have to take your paid time off. That is what it's for, though. So, that's what it's for. Paid time off is for that. So I wouldn't use that. I would not let that hold me back if I were you in your shoes. I would go ahead and take the time off if it's paid time off, and if it's accrued, just if it depletes, let it accrue again and deplete it again. They don't mind when you do that. If you have something real going on, just document what you're doing and show exactly, your whereabouts, and it shouldn't be a problem. But, like I said, find a way to reach out, and I'll try to link you with that resource so you could try to work it out.
Yeah, let me bring him back in briefly. 929. You want to respond briefly? You can respond briefly. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Real quick, I'm gonna just respond briefly. My name is Deshaun Sylvester, and I guess you could try to reach me on Facebook or Instagram, and if you can give me that information because
here's what I'll do. I see your number right here on the screen. Is that the number I can contact you? The number that I see here.
Take this number. The number that I can give you that you can contact me direct is 347.
Hold on. Don't do that in the air. It's email.
Brother. Give me your Instagram. Give me your Instagram.
Give
me your Instagram.
Do this.
My Instagram is
Email me.
Sylvester.
Email me at Debate Talk for You. Debate Talk for You. You got a pen and paper?
I already got it, Sal. I already got it. Okay. Let's move on.
Okay.
He said his Instagram is Deshaun Sylvester, right?
Yeah, Deshaun Sylvester.
All right. I'm a pretty good speller, so I'll get it.
All right, man.
All right.
Appreciate you, fam. Because everybody be calling after that. Everybody be calling you. We ain't trying to get you harassed or nothing like that. But again,
that's why I said reach out.
Yeah. That's right. We got some other people standing by. Hold on. We got some other callers. 864, you're live. Okay.
Hey, peace and power. How's everybody doing?
Peace.
Pretty good.
Peace.
All is well.
In my opinion, there's no pro for, at the core, there's no pro for child support, or there's no pro for, another man supporting another man's family. There's no pro for that. Whatever the situation it is, and at the end of the day, us as people, especially as, I've grown up with quite a many Black African people, men in particular, and a lot of times we don't know what to do with our penises. You got to be honest with that. And that's why we find ourselves in these situations where you don't have a job, but you want to go out there and put yourself, insert yourself into, you want to do all the big boy things, but then you forgot that you weren't really a big boy. And this is just a reality. And a lot of times we aren't educated. I didn't have the education, this type of education, and this is very important that we are teaching our children, our little girls, who they should open themselves up to, who they shouldn't. That's why I was kind of at a place where I was saddened from the article. I didn't like, and this kind of side note, but it's still relevant to the situation. But, a couple of weeks ago, everybody was talking about the T.I. situation. And my opinion on that, I think, is very commendable. It wasn't commendable that this young lady had to, be plastered all around. I don't agree with that. But I think it's very commendable that you have an artist, a superstar, a millionaire that is actually doing these types of things with their daughter. We don't hear about these types of situations. And this is one of the preventative measures to get yourself out of child support. As you guys were speaking, I went on to look. I think it said that the states receive 66 cents per dollar from the federal government. And this is another article from the New York Times, and I'm just going to read just a small portion of it. But it was talking about the families on temporary assistance for needy families only receive about a quarter of the child support collected on their behalf. The majority of states keep all the child support collected on behalf of these families, and fewer than half allow even a small pass through of the child support they collect. Typically, $50 go to the child. Now, this was an article in New York Times. Basically, we're talking about if this thing is good for, us. And in my opinion, it's not. And I say it's good. What has helped those that were in bad situations, that were in, but this is the same government that once enslaved us. So the more that we go back and we are needing and we are having our hands out, I think that gives them a certain right to come in to say, well, hey, we're going to handle y'all a certain way. And quite naturally, I talked to Judge Joe Brown. He has a show, but I had a chance to, speak with him on certain laws. And he was talking about how certain things or certain laws that were around in slave time really hadn't been ratified. They haven't been amended. They haven't been changed. You understand? And then when we see a system like child support, which is generally going to support those that look like me, black African people here in America, they are things that, never really hold the integrity. And you have a lot of women out here. I've heard the cases where you have a woman out here that'll lure a guy in. Now, shame on the guy for being lured, you understand? But they will lure a guy in just for an income tax check. You understand? Just for a child support check. Now, I've heard women, this physically being something that they say out of their mouths. So they can get government assistance, free living and things of this nature. This has become to be a way of life, a survival mechanism, so to speak. And this is just a reality by this system being out there that allows the dynamics of this thing to happen. I've heard situations where women poke holes in condoms, and I'm not putting the full blame on women now. Some of these guys get themselves into these stupid situations, but I think it's very important for those that are practicing, utilizing sex. That is how you get into these situations of needing child support. Be mindful of the person that you're laying down with and what you're doing when you're laying down. Be mindful that this is the end result. Let us not, go out and rob a bank and then find out that, hey, we're getting 30 years or we're getting life for robbing. Nah, we need to understand that we're going to get 30 years for robbing this bank before we actually go out and commit that crime. Before we go out and do that thing, that this is the penalty. This is the consequence. So I think that's the reality. And when we are naive to that type of, somebody's going to make you pay. So we got to stop being naive on those matters.
All right, appreciate you calling in. All right. The number's 319-527-6239. Vinny D, you still there, Vinny? All right, guess he's not there. All right.
Yeah, I'm home.
Okay, there we go. Now I want to ask you, man, because you're one of the only males on the panel right now.
I'm the Lone Ranger, huh?
Yeah. Do you feel like when it comes to the power, when it comes to the family court system, a lot of people are complaining the non-custodial parent, which most likely is the man, doesn't have any power or leeway when it comes to making any adjustments, when it comes to the child support. Do you feel like there's too much power given to the custodial parent against the non-custodial parent?
You're talking in terms of like after it's already implemented?
Yes.
like the decision has been made.
Yes.
You know, I do. You know, and I can see where they get it from. It's like because people, like the brother said before, people abuse the system. I think his name was Deshaun. He was saying that people abuse the system, and I think that's so true. So if you got people abusing the system, then all the decisions are going to be harsh. And then also when you're dealing with a system itself, the system really has no feelings at all. It's not like you're dealing with people where people are governing their own problems, but when you're dealing with the system, man, the system don't care. The system is gonna.
You're breaking up. Okay.
Oh, is that better?
Yeah, you know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the system is just going to be, they're going to judge how things have happened in the past, whereas people will, people feel people, So that's a sticky situation, man. It's like I do, in a sense, I do feel that the system is more, it's harder on the parent that's not the custodial parent. And I think it's mainly because people abuse the system, like the brother Deshaun was saying. But at the same time, I do think that, like, it's a system. So the system is basically a monster. It has no feelings. So the system is going to do what the system feels is necessary to execute what they feel is the right judgment. But at the same time, that's why I think that we need to separate and stop leaning so heavily on the system, because the system don't care about really nobody. It lays down the law. If you don't adhere to it, then that's it. You get punished. That's the cold, harsh reality about the system. But if we can figure out a way to govern ourselves, then I think that we can steer away as people, be able to judge with more righteous judgment, especially dealing amongst our own selves. Hopefully that answers your question. I'll yield.
All right, Reese.
You said Reese?
Yeah. Reese Roberts, yeah.
Oh. Which part am I responding to?
Yeah, when it comes to the court system, do you feel like the non-custodial parent has less power than the custodial parent? Is there an abuse when it comes to the power of the custodial parent when it comes to the family court system?
Well, yeah, I think that's a given for our society. I mean, I think that is the rule more than it is the exception, and it definitely is a testament to our culture and, just the things that we're going through. So I do think the power gets abused because the system is set up to empower the woman and emasculate the man. And that's the reason why I'm saying what I'm saying about the system itself and just its role in our community is simply that. It's inverting our natural order of things. Our natural order of things is for our relationships to empower themselves through our, mutual equal contribution. I think the Bible refers to it as being equally yoked. So like my brother just said, a lot of times we're out here not knowing what to do with our genitalia. We're allowing our genitals to run our lives, really. There are people out here right now that literally don't have a life because they're trying to figure out what to do with their genitals. And it's really, it's hurting us. It's really hurting us because our community is not being effective because we are having so many issues with not just what to do with our genitalia, but also what's coming out of our genitalia. So, we need to take a step back and realize that, it's an abuse of power because of the abuse that we're doing to ourselves. And I think that's the reason why we're getting caught up on it and using it as a tool to abuse power, because we don't realize self-destruction when we see it. We think that it is power over another, that it's power over a man. We think that, but we're not realizing we're stripping ourselves, and we don't realize it because these people have, done some really serious conditioning and veiling things, and I like to give credit. I like to give credit where it's due, and you have to give credit to Caucasians for being very cunning. They are the snake in the Bible, very, very witty and charming. They come with you. They come to you all the time with a smile, a story, a Bible, a blanket, a vaccination, a check, a welfare check. They always come to you with something that they got for you. And the next thing you know, you take their small, superficial convenience. Next thing you know, you're left barren, empty, raped, and sodomized. And you don't even know what happened. You don't even know how it happened. You just know that you took something from somebody, thinking that it was a good gesture, thinking that you were helping yourself, thinking that you were doing, you were getting by, taking an easier route, getting a little load off, a little assistance. and once we do that, and like I said, we are left barren. We don't even know. We don't even know. We don't even know. So it seems like it's an abuse of power, but it's an abuse of ourselves.
Yeah, Zsa Zsa, we do have a caller standing by after that. Go ahead, Zsa Zsa.
Matt, this is actually very deep, and I think that it is. I believe that it's also has a lot to do with selfishness, and of course the Bible does speak about people will become lovers of themselves, and they're going to put themselves first. And who cares about the kids? Because they don't care about these kids. And I heard talking about the brother, I really think that we need to step it up as people that love others, that love kids too. We ought to step it up if we can and be able to, help the mothers. You see somebody at the grocery line, they need this or they need something, then pay it. Don't hesitate, especially when it comes down to a child. She needs a coat. She needs to go pay for it. Go buy it. Don't worry about getting nothing back. Just buy it. A lot of these mothers, they really do need help. I wish I could find, it'd be nice if I could find somebody that, that actually, that would need a little something. You know what I'm saying? I would like to be like, here's a jacket. Here's something. You know what I'm saying? But I don't see too many. I don't see too many kids and stuff like that around me. Whatever. I mean, I live in a okay. I'm not gonna say. I live in a neighborhood where everybody's trying to make it. You see, and everybody has children. Everybody works. Mom and dad. Everybody's always just going to work and so forth. But I do see that there is a small black community here, but they all live in apartments far away from where I'm at. Not too far, about 3-4 blocks. But it's very rare. I don't ever see the kids walking to school and stuff like that. And when I did, it's like I wanted to take the kids to Walmart and get them something warm, but it's just no way. I mean, they're gonna, they'll get you for kidnapping. So, but I think we should step it up and be able to help seriously, including the elderly. I mean, I that's something that we're still young and we could do it. I don't know. I know that the other brother was asking the sister. He was asking about that just now. If there's anybody, like, do we have like a association or something, or where we donate stuff and where where people can actually get some kind of help and so forth. I really think, I don't know. I just know that that every time that we get something started or we try to get something started, the government or, somebody's like, oh, well, they're doing this. Well, you need a license for this. Well, you need a license for that. Well, you need this. You need that. And then everything just goes straight down the drain again because they like to see us down. The sister is correct on that as well. So it's like, I don't know. It's like we don't have no rights. We can't help each other. And then not only that, but if they see you trying to do for somebody else, it's like they try to bring you all the way down again. Because they don't want to see you prosper. They don't want to see you. They don't want to see the next person move forward. I don't know. That's why this is a very excellent. This is an excellent talk. I actually I'm like, wow. Because it's
nice.
deeper than what I actually thought it was, Sal. Honestly, it's deeper. It's a lot deeper, and because like in places like New York, you have a lot of you have a lot going on there with the kids, and you have a lot going on in different places. It's kind of like that guy. What is that guy that took advantage of 700 plus young black little girls, 13 and up? The white dude had AIDS and gave them to 700 plus black little girls to kill off the male population. This is what his intentions were, and this is what he did. So the other brother that got on the phone, yes, we do need to teach our daughters, hey, no ma'am. We need to straight up be old school, and we need to start whooping some behinds. And we need to start teaching our daughters, look at here, this is not going to happen. These are the dangers. This is what's going on. And we, seriously, because now I see the young, literally, they're slipping away. I had a friend, this girl told me, she said, you are too strict, a friend of mine. And I said, it doesn't matter. You see where my son is at. My son's doing good for himself. And I'm not worried about it. Because I could tell my son something right now, and he's going to say, yes, ma'am. If I tell him to jump, he's going to say, how high? Because I was a strict mom. I was a single mom. And I'm not, and like I told him, I'm not raising no loser. And you're not going to jail. You're going to do all means necessary. And guess what, y'all? And I hate to put this out there, but you know what? My son is literally, he's going blind on both eyes. He has that keratoconus. I don't know what it's called. He had one of those things done on one of his eyes, which he sees really good on one, but then the other one, he's got it real bad where his like eyeball literally is forming into a cone. So with that, he's gonna have, he might need a cornea transplant. The doctor said he doesn't. But you know what? I even told him, I said, Nick, why don't you just get Social Security and then, maybe get housing and then keep going to school? And then he's like, Mom, I don't want to depend on the government to do nothing for me. And he's like, Mom, I learned a lot from you. You always told me if I want something, go work for it. And it's true. It's true. And I'm very proud of him for even stepping up to me and say, Mom, I'm a man. And I'm going to handle them. I don't have to run to the government. Why do we have to run to the government for everything? We need to run to each other. Seriously, we need to start coming to each other. We need to come as one. I guarantee you, if there would have been somebody out there watching those little girls, 700 of them, 700 plus, wouldn't have got AIDS.
Even just to go back to the brother that called in, if everybody was watching out for his little girls, none of that would have happened too.
Exactly.
We got to start holding ourselves accountable, man. It ain't just the people that's going through it. It's all of us, because we are all a part of one. Well, we're supposed to be a part of one body. One community.
Amen.
We got to start holding each other responsible, man.
I agree. I think we'll get there at some point, because I think what it is that our people have been groomed so heavily to hate each other that we don't live by a code. But now that we're starting to grasp onto the whole or the idea of Black unity and us coming together, just period, loving on each other, loving on ourselves, I believe that eventually we'll start to get back to this code of living where we have a moral, ethical ground, foundation that we decide to build our culture on, because we literally are a cultureless people because we have no recollection of it. So we have to it's a very special task to me. It's opportunistic, in my opinion, because when you're starting from ground zero, you can build anything. And I think that's what we have to start realizing about our position, is that even though we're low to the ground, that's a perfect place to build.
Get over here.
From the ground up. And if we don't have a culture right now, that's great, because we can build the most idealistic culture for ourselves as we see fit, as we see our needs, as we understand more about ourselves, understand more about our communities, understand more about how we feel about each other, how we feel about our history and all those other things. We can build our culture based on what we are at this point, because our original culture was taken away from us. So, we just have to get together and do it. That's it. As long as we can just get together, keep doing what we're doing right now, doing what we're doing right now, having these discussions, getting into these ciphers, into these think tanks, into these building, where we're getting together and putting our minds together, we're doing it. But, it's going to take a little bit more effort for us to just, really make it cohesive. All of us, like, one thing that I struggle with personally that I know affects myself and affects my community is that I have low self-esteem when it comes to a lot of things. I don't necessarily know my value or know my worth because nobody in my childhood ever showed me that I was valuable. People more so neglected me, and I had to give myself a value, give myself a worth, and I don't even know how high to value myself because I don't have a point of reference. Nobody ever told me I was worth anything. So, it's terrible because when I go out to the community, I have to beat myself up. I got to beat my chest and say, Sharice, you are worth it. You're smart enough. You're good enough to go out there and do what you can do and make a difference and bring people together and just contribute what you have to contribute. So we got some work to do, but I think we're on that track.
That's the elephant in the room right there, too.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're going to pretty much wrap it up, y'all. I got 2 social media questions for y'all, and then we're going to wrap it up. Once again, I appreciate everybody that called in, all the hosts on the program with the input. Definitely a powerful segment. Child support. Talk about that child support, deep topic. But let me read this to y'all.
Oh,
it says,
I like to.
I
like to say something really fast, real quick. There's also I don't know if anybody knows about it, but in the state of Texas, there is a Fathers Association. Just thought I'd let y'all know. I don't know if they have any in any other states, but these are lawyers, literally, and they do help men get their children from a lot of deadbeat moms that are not taking care of the child. Literally, they're using the child support for boob jobs and, nice cars, and then they got their kids looking like crap, So there is associations here, and you just have to get out there and look for them. But there's one in Texas. It's called Fathers Associations. These are lawyers, and I think it's like $100 membership a year, and they do help you get your kids.
Hey, Sal.
All right. Yeah, Vinny.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying I gotta dip out, man. I'm gonna still be listening, but I gotta dip out for a little bit.
No problem.
I appreciate the conversation, man. Powerful as usual, and peace to all the sisters, and safe travels to the brother Moses. I know he's out there, and I'm still listening in, and
right.
I appreciate being included. Y'all have a good night.
Have a good night, man.
Good night.
Appreciate the input, my brother. Appreciate the input. Yeah, man. It's going to read these last 2 questions and pretty much wrap it up. One of the questions is, does child support deter men from having many more children that need to be supported? Let's go with Reese Roberts.
I wish I could say yes. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence with that one. I'm kind of neutral with that one. But I do think, guys are probably more careful now because you got girls out here like the city girls and they like that lifestyle. They don't care about taking a man for all he's worth and just stripping him down till he's bare and dry. And so I think that some brothers who are smart really are starting to realize that a better quality woman is a better option for your future. So I'm going to say yes.
maybe I will go ahead and get on the other side of the fence and I can say yes.
That's Zsa Zsa?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. There's a lot of guys that would love to have more children, but with these moms that they have chosen to be with, they mess it up for the rest of us.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
For real.
Right. Yeah. All right, question number 2. Can parents do much in the way of preparing them for the future if they are fighting over who has to provide for them?
Come again?
Say that question one more time. Yeah, give me that.
I'll read it again. Can parents do much in the way of preparing them for their future if they are fighting over who has to provide for them?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that's a situational. It's a case by case, if you ask me. I think that's one of those situations where it goes back to what I was saying earlier, where it's just the quality of the person. If a person has the maturity to manage the affairs in their lives in such a way that they're able to be productive, that is seriously just depending on the person. So there are some people who can multitask enough to fight for whatever they're trying to fight for and still go to work, pay the bills, do whatever they got to do and be productive in their life, spend time with their kids or whatever, but to still make it to court on time and, show up and make their argument. So, it just depends on the person. It really does.
All right, Zsa Zsa?
Well, I mean, I guess it depends. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of hard for people to be playing with children's emotions too, right? More or less.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm trying to understand the question, but you're saying that who should have the more say so about raising a child? Is that what the question was about, more or less?
I think that's.
Or am I completely way out?
Can parents do much in the way of preparing them for their future if they are fighting over who has to provide for them? When it comes to the money, when you're fighting against each other, is that a good thing or not? That's pretty much simplified.
It's never a good thing because number one, I'm gonna tell you like this. My son told me, "Where's my money?" And I said, "What money?" He's like, "You need to be saving for me to go to college." And I said, "And I'm not going to. That's your job. That's what you get a scholarship for. Because I'm already working and I'm already trying to take care of you." So, hey, that's my answer. That's his job. That's when, that's my opinion, but it worked, and he got on it.
Okay, all right. Well, listen, we're going to wrap this up. Once again, I appreciate y'all. We only have y'all 2 now left in the air. So I'm going to let y'all both get some last words. Reese Roberts, you can begin. Last words.
I just think that we need to, like I said, focus on our community, focus on our problems, and just leave the European Caucasians, leave them to themselves because the systems that they have are just simply not created for us. They're just not. And even though it may seem, like I said, a temporary help, it doesn't necessarily end up being any better for us or our people in the end. I mean, like I said, on a case-by-case basis, there are some people who may have that superficial benefit where they have a case that is in compliance and everything is going smoothly and they don't have no problems. And that's fine, But for the large majority of everybody else, when that's not the case, I think all of those people would be wise to have settled those cases outside of that system because even taking the case to them in the first place is continuing to further their goal and inserting them into our community in places where they really are not trying to do no good. So, I just, in closing, want us to always be mindful that we have the power inside of ourselves to create the reality that we want to create. And if we want to have better relationships with the people that we lay down with, regardless of whether or not we're still having sex with them or not, we can choose to do that. But it's going to take maturity. You know, the fact that the city girls and that mentality is just blazing hot right now with women that are like in their 40s. I'm like, sis, you really got to stop it. We have to be more mature. We have to start looking at what we are contributing into our own immediate reality and also our collective reality that we create together. So if we're going to continue with the madness and continue having relationships that are rushed, that are forced, that are insufficient, that are unequally yoked, that are, just all these things that are not necessarily wisely thought out or planned out, or, we don't really enter into these situations in a healthy way. We have to learn what to do with that. We have to learn how to heal that, and we have to learn how to at least recover, because it's dragging us. We are dragging the floor when it comes to our relationships at this point. And I really think we could do better. So we're just going to have to figure out some ways. And I will commit to using my mind to do what I need to do, and hopefully y'all will jump on board and support whatever that's going to be.
All right, Reese Roberts, once again, I appreciate you for coming on. Zsa Zsa, last words, Zsa Zsa.
I agree. I agree with her. We seriously need to start keeping other nations out of our business, because they were the ones that literally they took us from where we were at. They raped us. They did all these brutal things to us, and then they flipped the script, and then now they're supposedly scared of us. So they got the police, they got all these lawyers and all this made-up stuff and all this school system, of course, the whole Babylonian thing. But this is to work for them. It was never meant for it to work for us. The cops, when you call them, the first thing they want to do is they want to arrest you. They want to put you in cuffs. They want to kill you. We just see black people just dropping like flies. That right there says enough. So when you have a young lady or the mom and the dad, they're having a dispute in the house, they take the kids. CPS is on your behind now. And next thing you know, CPS took them kids for no reason. They didn't brainwash your kids. They didn't make your kids say this. They didn't make your kids say that the parents was doing this, doing that. Yeah, keep them out. Keep them out. And and hey, it does take a village to raise a child. It really does. And we need to seriously start pulling together. I don't think it takes a scientist to pull that together. I think seriously, we really need to stick together. We need to do better than what we're doing. Unfortunately, we have so many people in different areas, and we can't pull together. We can't be like, hey, we need to meet. Hey, we need to, to get a plan together and start doing something. Seriously. There's too many kids suffering right now. And then it's like generation after generation after generation, it just repeats itself. And it's getting kind of tiring to see it. Seriously. So, yeah. It's sickening. Yeah.
Well, once again, I appreciate you for coming on and being a new addition to the Social Hub. We appreciate you for coming on the platform. We're going to bring you back on next Monday. And, of course, we're going to let you know what the topics are to stay tuned. Keep it locked on Debate Talk Radio. The website is www.blogtalkradio.com/Debate Talk for you to check the schedule, see what's going on with the program. Of course, we're on social media, on YouTube, everything Debate Talk for you. We're going to see you guys next time. Take care, and God bless.